Hello my friends and welcome to my channel. This is Brian, the Speaker for the Dead. Life of Brian, coming to you with a new video today because I just had some thoughts. As we've been going through the last few weeks and everything that's happening in the United States, I can't help but think we're doomed. And really the topic of this video today is normal. Do you guys remember normal? I remember normal. Normal was great.
What a bunch of hippy-dippy baloney.
Normal was, people not doing creepy, weird things, girls shaving their hair, everybody and their dog having tattoos, people with regular colored hair. I remember normal. Normal was good. Normal was great. When the weirdos and the creepers were relegated to the background of society instead of pushed into my face on something that hadn't been invented yet, which is social media. I used to think that social media was kind of a good thing. And now I think it's one of the worst things that's ever happened to humanity.
Darn.
I don't know why that we as human beings felt the need to advertise everything that we do.
Oh, that's an image I'll never get out of my brain.
And I think it's neat. When I first remember social media becoming a thing and Facebook becoming a kind of a big thing and MySpace and stuff before that, I remember people, it was a good thing. People put on interesting things about stuff that was happening to them. You could catch up with old friends that you hadn't seen in a long, long time, but that you always wondered, what was happening with them. It was a great thing. And now it's just disgusting. Twitter, every time I get on Twitter, my feed is just littered with people asking me what I think about some weirdo's video. And you know what I just want to say, every time I see these people trying to post these things, I'm just like, you know what I think? I think I never wanted to see that. You know what I think? I don't think anybody ever wanted to see that. Okay, I don't want to listen to some lunatic and their creepy psychotic political beliefs. The extremist nut jobs that, like I said, at one time, they were relegated to the background of society where they belonged, where nobody heard them, nobody cared, and we were all free of this twisted psychosis.
Oh, come on. You gonna leave me all alone here with less angry Rosie O'Donnell?
I watch what's happening in LA this week with all the crap that's going on there. And I think, what a despicable display that we have so many people in our country who are actively trying to thwart our laws, and that nobody's really doing anything to stop them. These aren't protests. These are active attacks against our law enforcement, which, look, I'm not a cheerleader for law enforcement. I think law enforcement in a lot of ways in this country is out of control. I think they've become nothing more than tax collectors and like the kid that got beat up in high school, who somebody gave a badge and they're intent on getting back at anybody who ever beat them up. Even though the people in the car in front of them didn't beat them up, they just want to be a prick because suddenly they have a badge and some authority. And they think they can abuse it the way their abusers did when they were younger. And I see all these cop videos where these cops are just out of control. And now I get it. Cops have to deal with lunatics and nut jobs and stuff. And I am totally with cops on that kind of thing. If you have to deal with some crazy person, yeah, take care of business. Do what you got to do. And I'm with you 100%. But when you go up and you initiate a conflict over something that did not need to be initiated, or that there wasn't even really a reason for you doing what you're doing, other than you're bored and you've got to get your ticket quota in that month. And so you harassed a family going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, and they didn't have their seatbelt on, which seatbelt laws are ridiculous and shouldn't be allowed in the first place. But I mean, that's the problem, is a lot of these laws, they need to be taken off the books. They need to be gotten rid of, so that these cops don't have to, are not obligated to try and enforce these ridiculous, cryptic, stupid laws that have done nothing but infringe on the freedoms of the people of this country. When I was a kid, I never wore a seatbelt. We had cars that were made out of metal. When 2 cars got into an accident, I mean, everybody just got out and, waited for the tow truck, because, like, seriously, like, you got thrown into the back of the seats, which were made of, padding that was about that thick. I mean, they were better than airbags. I mean, and I don't know. It's just, and I'm not saying everything back in the day was sunshine and roses, because, I mean, it absolutely wasn't. Of course it wasn't. I mean, we've progressed a lot in good ways, but unfortunately it seems like, I keep thinking about that line from the first Avengers movie. Where, Captain America is talking with Nick Fury, and he says, they when I woke up, they told me we won the war, but they didn't tell me what we lost. And and I just think, boy, is that not 100% the truth? That this is what we're dealing with now. We have all these problems, and our kids have been taught to hate their own country. We have people who actively hate the country. We seem to have lost what made us great, because we've had it too easy for too long. And I think about, like, the things that are going on where we have companies that are actively trying to poison the people through our food supply, our vaccines, our medicines, where profit is being brought to the forefront over people.
I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be.
And I was never one of these guys that believed in the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That was always some line that the Democrats used, and I didn't used to believe that. But I've been in business for myself for the last 3 years, and I've seen that there is a lot of that. That there is this sense of nobody wanting anybody else to get anything. That, like, we've all become a bunch of weird, psychotic squirrels who want all the nuts for ourselves. We don't want anybody else to have anything, and we're mad if somebody else gets one nut, because that was a nut that we could have. And we've gone from a healthy self-interest country to an absolute greed mentality, where we don't care how we get it, we don't care where we get it, we just want money. We want money, we want stuff. I drive around and I see loads and loads and loads and loads of storage unit places, because people have so much crap, they literally can't keep it at their houses. And they have to go rent spaces to fill with the crap that they can't even keep in their houses or apartments. Now, I understand if somebody downsized to a smaller place. I mean, I know there's reasons for these places, and I get it. But, like, half the time, that's not what's going on. This is like, people have bought so much stuff, and they have so much stuff, and instead of selling it or giving it away to somebody who could use it, they just collect it in these storage spaces, and then it just sits and rots or goes to waste. Or, I mean, it's just, and all the money that's spent to house worthless stuff, and how nothing is built to last. Nothing. Not cars, not TVs, not computers, not nothing is built to last. It's all built to be replaced in a year or so. And the amount of waste that creates. You know, now I'm not an environmentalist, but I've been a conservationist my entire life since I was a kid. I wanted to preserve and keep what we have while still using and being good stewards over the earth. I believe in going in and thinning thick forests so that we don't have massive forest fires. I believe in going in and clearing out the dead wood in forests and taking it away to be used to make paper or do something productive with this stuff. And but like, because environmentalism to me is choosing plants and stuff over people. Instead of trying to have a balance where plants, people, and animals can live in somewhat of a harmonious way with each other.
Fine.
And I feel like that's the balance we should be striking. I mean, we look at all the EV vehicles and all this stuff that the environmentalists say that they're so much for. But I mean, the wind power is such a scam. Like it doesn't accomplish, it never pays for itself. Like it's unreliable unless the wind's blowing, like you don't get it. And then like if you're dependent on a continuous power supply, then you have an unsustainable grid. And then you've got solar that when it gets dark at night, no power. So there's a period of like 8 to 12 hours, depending on where you are in the time of year, when you'd have no power if this is all we were using. Now, I'm not against those things, but I look on the landscapes where I see people putting up these huge solar fields. And I'm just like, how much habitat did that destroy? Where you've got like a gas power plant or a nuclear power plant, which relatively speaking is not huge area. And it creates an enormous amount of power, was where you would have to cover thousands of acres in solar panels to accomplish the same thing. And then, like I said, and then for 8 to 12 hours, they don't do anything. They provide no power, no discernible or usable power.
Coming! What's this? Another door?
So, I mean, unless we're going to get a second sun that rotates in exact opposition and which is going to be daylight 24 hours a day, wouldn't that be fun to try and sleep with? Solar is not effective. It doesn't work. I mean, I think, yeah, use it to augment stuff and things. But in my state, I put solar panels on my house 3 or 4 years ago. And now my state is changing the rules. See, I was sold solar panels with the idea that, guess what, Brian? You will never have a power bill again. That's what I got told. We have calculated these solar panels so that you will never, it'll produce enough during the day, it'll offset your night use, and then you'll never have a power bill.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Please, Wildstyle, let me handle this. That idea is just the worst.
Well, now the state where I live, and the power company here, is coming in and changing the rates. So all that is going away. All of it is going away. So like that we don't get paid for the extra power our panels produce. We just get, and then basically the power company is getting all that extra power for free from the panels that sit on my house. Now they're coming out saying, Brian, if you want to not have this happen, well, this is what you got to do, Brian. You got to go out and buy batteries, buy a Tesla solar wall or power wall or whatever the equivalent of the other unnamed brands or whatever is, so that it'll charge that, and then you can use that at night, and that'll keep the power companies from being able to steal your power and stuff like that. And I just think, it's just scams to steal people's money, to make us constantly under the thumb of somebody that we're paying for something. We're never truly free with property taxes, to where even if you own something, if I own my house, which I totally don't, I still have to pay the government every year for my own property if I owned it. Like there's just this, it's never ending. we put money away for a retirement, and then Social Security gets taxed. And if we talk about trying to not do that, oh, the Democrats and the Republicans, which, you know what? They're both worthless. They're both worthless. If anything has been proven in the last few months, is that the Republicans are as big as shitbags as the Democrats are. There's a few of them that are okay, but there's such, on both sides, maybe there's a few that are okay and actually care about their constituents and the people, but 98% of them don't give a crap as long as they're getting their pensions and their money, and they're being able to, cheat us by bidding on bills and stuff like that, like the Nancy Pelosi's and the Republicans that are doing this stuff where they go in, they know a bill's coming. It's insider trading basically, but because, they're senators and congressmen, well, it doesn't count. So they make millions of dollars because they know that a bill's coming down that's going to affect a certain industry. So they buy or sell based on what that bill is going to do to that industry, and they make millions of dollars on it. Now, if you or I did that, we'd go to prison forever for insider trading. But no, if you did that on Wall Street, it's insider trading. But the Senate and the representatives and stuff like that, well, they can all do that.
It makes me just want to pick up whoever is standing closest to me and just throw them through this window and out into the infinite abyss of nothingness. I want to do it so bad.
I know you do, sir.
I remember a time when I was a kid. Now I realize that there's some nostalgia coming in here, and kids don't see everything. But I remember a time when there wasn't all this racial strife, where the racial strife is being generated. It got worse under Barack Obama. We were actually on a track where I felt like we were going to get away from the race thing forever. And then Barack Obama showed up on the scene and stirred it up 10,000-fold. And it has been going downhill ever since. They flood our country with immigrants who can't speak English, who are coming from all over the world. They don't have the same values. They don't have the same culture that we have here. And they come here and they're told, you don't need to change to become Americans. You just have to come here and be Chinese or Mexican or Guatemalan or wherever. Wherever you're from, you don't have to change. You just come here and America has to change to you. And they've completely turned the melting pot on its head. And that itself creates racism, especially when they're letting people jump the line. When you can just flow in here illegally upon millions, and we're just supposed to absorb you and figure out how to pay for all this stuff, and support you till you can go and get jobs and figure out how to speak English, because until you can speak English, you're never really going to get ahead in this country. But they're trying to change that too. So I miss normal. I miss it. I miss feeling like politics wasn't at the center of everything. And that you could have a conversation and that Democrats and Republicans could get along with each other. Even if we didn't agree, we could still get along on the basic ideas of this country. And now that's all gone. It's just 24/7, hate, anger, and it's just being fed constantly by social media and by people in everyday life. I mean, I watch these videos of interactions that people have with each other on the street, and I think, good Lord, what the hell's the matter with you people? Like, I don't know. Anyway. I don't mean to be a depressing, but I just wanted to ask you guys, and that's what the point of this really is. Do you miss that? Did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel like we were on a normal track at one point, and then somewhere along the line, somebody went, "Nah, we're going to go right straight back into hell"?
Jedi strength flows from the Force, but beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. If once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice.
And it's happening all over the world. Like, it's not just here. It's not just in America. It's everywhere. This sentiment, the problems. It's like, and it's all being orchestrated. Now, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that there are powers behind the scenes that are trying to create conflict constantly so that the human race will never know peace. And I just think it's sad that that's where we are. So I guess my question is, do you miss normal? Do you think we'll ever get back there? I mean, at this point, unfortunately, I think that there'd have to be a cleansing or a purge. And I mean, as much as I hate to say that, I think it's the truth. And I'm not talking about the movies and stuff like that. I'm talking about where the extremists on both sides would have to be wiped out, eliminated, for us to ever have a chance at getting back to normal. Where if you're an extremist on either side, right, left, if you're a religious zealot, if you're like just anybody who is trying to push the envelope to the extreme, is just eliminated. I mean, seriously, if I had the Infinity Stones and could make a snap, that's what I'd do. I guess that makes me a villain and as bad as Thanos. But imagine a world where people weren't in constant conflict because some lunatic thinks that they're entitled to everything that isn't theirs. That like religious people didn't just like assault other people with their religion. You know, if Muslims, you know, weren't allowed to act like raving lunatics and bizarro people. If Christians weren't trying to, you know, tell you on one hand that they love you, while simultaneously telling you you're gonna go to hell if you don't believe exactly what they believe. I'd snap. I'd be like, you're all gone. All of you troublemakers, like people, criminals, gang members, all these people who do nothing but cause absolute contention, society, that show up twerking in public, being lewd and disgusting, and acting like animals. Doesn't matter what race you are, like people who think that they can just do whatever they want, they're entitled to do and say anything they want, that they've misunderstood human rights on every fundamental level. Because human rights are the rights that we all have, but my rights end where your rights begin and vice versa. And we seem to have lost that. We seem to think my rights trump everybody else's rights. And that's not how that works. That's not how society functions.
Nice pants. Lose the cigar. Oh, you better burn that shirt, sailor. It's the crew from hell.
I hope that there's a way out of this. But at this point, truthfully, I think that there is no way out of this. There is only a violent end. And I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying, yay! I'm saying, I think that's the only way this ends. At this point, we've gone too far. We've passed the Rubicon. We've other platitudes and things. But I think we're past the point where reason can get us out of this, because people aren't reasonable anymore, and they don't want to be reasonable. Let me know what you think. I hope my next video will be more positive and hopeful and happy. But till then, this is what's going on in my brain. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye now.